Two is better than one. I'm really loving this engine so far. Been flying since 1999. I learned on a Solo 210, an Adventure F3. I think the glider might have been an Adventure L. Then in 2001, I built my own paramotor frame. Bought a MZ34 313cc engine for it, thinking that it'd have lots of power, which it had enough power, but it was heavy. For the power it had, it was heavy. It probably puts out less than a Black Devil, maybe around a Nitro 200 power. After that, I had some Black Devils. So I got down the wrong riser here. One thing with the with this boxer, there's just so much power and so much torque. So on the Dudek gliders, or on the Hadron XX here, the 20 meter that I'm flying, there's two clip-in points, lower point and the upper point. So on the right hand side, I clip into the upper point, so that effectively gives me 1.5 inches of constant weight shift to the right. Not annoying at all, don't notice it at all, helps with the torque. So the other thing helping with the torque here is, so this riser is set forward, left riser set forward, right riser is set as far back as it'll go. So that also cants the engine off a little. That also helps with the torque. Flew it quite a few times trying to get it dialed in. It's pretty darn good now. It's to the point where I can, it's always a left torque. I have it to the point now where I can climb full power in a right turn.
Okay, we'll do a loop around the track here. After that, it was Black Devils. Had 2 or 3 different Black Devils. I actually bought another Solo 210 just because it was a great deal. Can't pass up a complete paramotor for $1,100, 1,100 Canadian. What else have I flown? I've also flown Air Conception 130cc, nice lightweight little electric start. That's a little higher RPM, kind of like the Boxer. Not nearly that high RPM, but it is higher. I've flown Friends, Nirvana 200, Nirvana 230. Really wasn't impressed with the 230cc. The Nirvana engines are nice, they're really reliable, really expensive. One of the reasons they're so reliable is they detune them. So that 230cc, in my mind, it was about the same as a Moster, and maybe it doesn't put out as much as a Moster. I have a Moster Classic on a Parajet Zenith. I've been flying that for, it's got to be close to 200 hours now. Just love that engine. I like that Parajet Zenith frame as well. So it's the Moster Classic. Moster Classic without a clutch. I really prefer that. The clutch on the Boxer is nice. It's really nice because you need to warm up the engine because it doesn't have a water pump. But if it wasn't for that, I'll always take slightly less hesitation, just a fraction of a second while that clutch grabs, but I notice it for foot dragging. It's extra weight, and it's one more part to fail. What else have I flown? Polini 250. So that wasn't foot launch, that was on a buddy's cart. But this engine does have more power than the Polini 250s. It has way more power than the Air Conception Tornado 280cc. Don't be deceived by manufacturers' claims of horsepower and weight, and they all lie. It's really disappointing, but they all lie. And even on the Boxer here, it's 5 pounds heavier than they say it is. That's on a pretty accurate scale that I trust and I measure everything on. So that was really disappointing. Just tell me the number. I really don't care what it is, but I do want to know the actual number. Not a 5 pound lie. Yeah, so I have flown the Tornado 280. That's actually a 268cc, and that has about the same power as a Moster, Vitarazi Moster 185, no matter what they tell you. Look at the thrust test. The Moster 185 has actually beat it in some of the thrust tests. I would think the Tornado would have slightly more power most of the time, but it's just nowhere near what they claim. That was the engine I was going to buy, but it's really disappointed with a lot of things in it. Can only get an electric start, and the importer just swore up and down how reliable the electric start is. Well, that's one thing that experience teaches you. Electric start is not reliable. More reliable on a Nirvana? Besides that, talk to anyone who's had electric start. I bought 1 or 2 electric start motors, and I've gone back to pull start now. Not that pull start doesn't have its fair share of issues either. I think it's ridiculous that pull start has a bunch of issues, but less than electric start. So the engine really starts easy. Don't take me saying that it can kick back hard as something that regularly happens. Absolutely not. It's happened a couple times, but it really starts easy. I didn't use the choke at all there. You can pull the choke. If it doesn't start the first pull or two, I pull the choke, fires right up. It's just awesome that way. So the spring, as others have said, the throttle spring on this huge 38 millimeter carb is very strong. My hand did get tired, like throbbing tired, for the first, I don't know, 5 or 10 hours. I did modify the throttle to add a smoke button here. It's actually just a piece of balsa wood glued on and kind of shaped to my hand. Give me a little more distance. When I was pulling full throttle before, you had to be like that. It just was not. I'd rather be like that, full throttle, and that at idle. So it's much more comfortable now. I really like having cruise control. I do use it a fair bit. You really don't need the full power to climb any faster. I absolutely love it for taking off. It just gives me a lot more confidence in tight takeoff areas. Of course, you always need an out, but honestly, I love the power 25 feet off the ground. Gotta love this spot here for diving in under the trees. Don't catch the chase count. And follow the tire track, foot dragging fun. And the motor just runs awesome. It's the only way to explain it. Both plugs are just perfectly coffee brown. I thought about changing the needle slightly. As it's broken in now, we got about, after this we'll have 31, 32 hours on it. But it's just so perfect right now. So look at this, we're actually flying under this tree. Alright. Get out of the way of that pelican. But this is where I like the power. Look at this, man. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Woo-hoo! It's just too much fun. Woohoo! Oh man, too much fun. But the main thing is, this is by far the most power any paramotor pilot has ever had on their back foot launch. Like, it is just so much fun for the type of flying that I do. And I'm already used to it to the point where I'd like more power again. I really would. I don't think I need a larger engine, and I don't need to climb any faster. It's mostly for the hard, tight turns down low, slightly more efficiency with the 140 centimeter prop.
Alright, just a couple things I wanted to talk about a little more that I didn't cover while I was flying. So I mentioned the throttle step. Around about a third throttle, it just wants to accelerate. There is a big step in the throttle. It's not smooth there. I really hope that can get figured out. I don't know if that could just be the engine getting on the pipe, on the two-stroke pipe, and maybe there's not much that can be done about that. But that causes issues. It's fine for foot dragging most of the time. Where I really notice it is on launch. So right as you're leaving the ground, you get into that third throttle area while you're accelerating, and now as you leave the ground and the P factor comes into play and all the torque, now it just gets away from you, and it just makes everything so much worse. So by yourself, when you're launching by yourself, it's not that big a deal, but I can do way nicer launches on my other motor where I have linear throttle response, of course. Where I did find that to be a big deal, and one of the reasons I bought this engine, is flying tandem. So when you get off the ground with two people, you've just got off the ground, you both kind of swing back slightly. Again, you're into all that torque, and it just really torques you to the left, and it's I've only done a couple tandem launches, but I was disappointed in that. That's not something where you can learn to control the throttle smoother. There's just a very definite step there that you don't even have to move that throttle any further, but it'll jump up, I don't know what it is, 1500, 2000, 3000 RPM. It's a big jump. So that's a downside. It is what it is for now. Maybe that can be improved, maybe not. One of the other things, so what are you looking at this motor for? And why wouldn't say a Vitarazi Moster 185 or something along those lines be enough power for you? Maybe with a 140 prop, I don't know. But you better be flying a small wing. You better be flying with speed bar all the time. Without speed bar, I really don't need this power. I do fly full speed bar a lot of the time. It's one of the things I love about the Hadron XX, is that even with my trims half out, or anytime, I can use full speed bar anytime. It's a lot safer than using trims, of course. With trims half out and using full speed bar, I can still use my main brakes. That I love that about the Hadron XX. Not all wings are like that, but unless you're flying a small wing, unless you're flying at fast speeds, you probably don't need it. Hey, that's fine. I probably don't need it either, but I love it. Um, so I had mentioned the fairly small cage. Uh, it, it is a fairly small cage for the propeller they put on it. 130 centimeter prop. There's like an inch here to the outside of the cage, a couple inches. By the time that flexes a little bit, and if you're not standing perfectly square with your wing, so if you're rotated say a little bit either direction, uh, that's just inviting your lines to hit that prop. Whereas if you're square, perfectly square, so it is an issue. It's happened a few times to me. 125 centimeter prop would be the right propeller for this cage. In my opinion, 130 centimeters too big. The harness is very comfortable. It really is. It scoops you into the seat. It works well that way. But a lot of the time, this actually flips upside down like that, and it essentially locks that in. So if you don't catch this on pre-flight, uh, you you're not in the harness correctly. It's really hard to correct it once you're flying. There's just so much tension on that. Okay, so this pin here, it used to be on the outside. It also used to be much bigger and much sharper. I don't know if I can see the spot in the webbing here. Uh, so I can see it right here where my thumb is. You may or may not be able to see that on camera, but that actually poked right through that webbing and was holding me at a very, very strange angle while flying. Um, it's just issues I've never had before with other harnesses. It's better now that I've rounded this off and put it to the inside, but these main shackles at the front do seem to flip the wrong way all the time. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was a gearbox failure. Had a gearbox failure this morning, I'm afraid. 23.2 hours. Not, she's not happy. One of the reasons I really want to talk about this is I bought this motor knowing it was a brand new motor. It hadn't been proven yet. And when I had that gearbox failure, I emailed Sky. I had a response back within 20 minutes. That response said, Tony, don't worry, we're here for you. Uh, let us know what you need once you get home and can have a look at it. So that was great. That's exactly what you want to hear as a customer in a country a long, long ways from Italy where there's no dealer. So then they followed up with that, and they had a brand new gearbox uh, on my doorstep in, I think it was 7 days, maybe 8 days. So that was shipped from Italy. They must have spent a large amount of money to get it here in that time. But I had a new gearbox, so not just a replacement gearbox. From what I understand, they've identified an issue, they've changed it on the new engines, and really, to me, this doesn't highlight a failure. Uh, it does. There was a failure. Other people have also had that failure. Uh, Apparently, it's now been resolved. This is a second version with stronger gears. What that meant to me is that the first issue I had, they helped me immediately. They were there with parts within a week, and that first email I sent while I was waiting by the road for my rescue ride, they responded before my ride got there. That just means so much to me, and and that should mean a lot to you too. Uh, I've obviously voided my exhaust warranty by putting a dual smoke system on this. Um, Put a couple clips in here of that dual smoke system, but obviously you're drilling holes in a brand new exhaust, and you're not going to be claiming an exhaust warranty if or when you crack that. You're injecting cool fluid into a hot exhaust. Um, the larger tank. I really love the larger kind of 18-liter tank that I have here now. I started with what was supposed to be an 18-liter tank. They're not 18 liters. I could only fit 16 liters into it. I did have a plastic welder extend that and add another couple liters up close to my back, keeping the center of mass forward. I actually welded on just a couple lines at 5, 10, 15 liters. So with my fuel mirror, it's really easy to see how much fuel I have. Alright guys, that'll do it for this one. Hope that answers some questions on the Boxer 220. Great engine, absolutely love it. Not for everyone. 71 pounds empty. Now that I've put a larger tank on it, it's 74 pounds. It does carry the weight really well. The center of mass is quite close to your back. But yeah, any questions, give me a shout. Happy flying. Dual exhaust. Probably need that on a paramotor.